Hello and welcome to Secrets Mystery Manor. I'm your host, Psychic Zelda Kelly. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome. I am so happy that you're here. Welcome. We have a different show tonight. Now, just before we get started, I want to thank you for coming. And if you get a chance, please leave me a comment and let me know where you're watching from. The other thing is, if you're watching this later, please leave the number 2. So at least we know that you're watching. This is going to be a different show. In fact, today I wrestled a little bit about, are UFOs part of the paranormal? And I suppose it is. I never thought about that before until now. And is it really? Is it part of the paranormal? Let me know what you think. Is a UFO part of the paranormal world? I think so. I'm being convinced that now a UFO is part of the paranormal. Never used to think that way. But we never had as many things about paranormals as we do now. I'm sorry, about UFOs as we do now. Everywhere you turn now, right? There's something about paranormal. There's something about ghosts, Bigfoot, UFOs. I just kind of wonder what's next, right? You got to think about this. So before we get into this, and we're waiting for some people to show up, I'm going to do what we normally do, and I'm going to pull a card for everyone who is watching this. And it's going to be, in general, just one card for one person, for each person, one card. I'll get it out. Okay, here we go. Here we are. And as you come in, welcome. Hello, welcome. Now, here we are. I am shuffling. Here we are. Okay, ready? I'm going to cut the cards on your behalf, and you're going to see this before I do. Ready? Oh, look at that purple. Isn't that pretty? Okay, here we are. Wow. This is a great card for you, and I know that this should make you very happy. When a card like this comes out, it's the 10 of Cups. And yes, this is an old deck. And yes, I use this. And the cards sometimes get mixed up, but the meanings are still the same. In fact, this particular deck, the meanings are awesome. It really comes out because the older the deck is and the more you use it, the better and more acclimated in readings that it gets. This is an old deck. So this is the 10 of Cups. And look at the people celebrating there. Little kids dancing. Hello. People looking, they're just like standing there looking like, look at everything that we have accomplished. This is for you, my friends. This 10 of Cups. Now, what does the 10s mean? The 10 means that you've completed this journey. The cups are emotional suits. They are the emotions of the tarot. It's all things love, happiness, family, celebration, all of those wonderful things. Sometimes even decisions. So this means that you've come a long way. You've come a wonderfully long way. And now you can celebrate because you're getting ready to go to the next step. That's a great thing. So welcome, come on in. Let me know where you're watching from. If you get a chance to please comment. Now, we are going to read the cards in a little while. But first, I want to talk to you about what happened in Las Vegas. Have you heard? If you haven't heard, well, you're going to hear now, because this is wild, okay? I'm taking those off because they glare. This is wild. May 1st, just an ordinary day in Vegas, just outside in the evening. And what happens? A police officer catches on their body cam this green glowing light just racing toward Earth, racing toward the ground. He wondered what was going on. Before you know it, there's a 911 call from a family, from a young man who basically says, something crashed in our backyard. There was a UFO that crashed in our backyard. And you can hear, if you want to go on, I couldn't put the 911 call on here. I wish I could have. I tried, but you can't get that on here. I couldn't. You hear him. There are some things that don't look real. Yeah, hello? And you hear him talking to the police. And he's like, hello? Yeah, they're 8 to 10 feet tall. They have big eyes and they have big mouths. And he said that one locked eyes with him and he was frozen in his tracks, just frozen. What does that mean? So he said, before you know it, I mean, things were just happening in flashes. And before you know it, he said that all of a sudden it seemed you could hear them running. It was more than one. You could hear them running around. And then the next thing you know, it was gone. Well, he called 911. It took the police about 38 minutes to get there. At first they thought, is this a prank? And then they said, no, somebody was in the neighborhood. And some other people started calling in as well. Well, the weird thing is that these people had a camera on the outside. And when all of this happened, and the crash happened, and the not little green men, these big guys, 8 to 10 feet tall, were there, it glitched. It just went out. It glitched. It was gone. And then all of a sudden came back again. So the police show up and they took a report and they said, we just feel that they're telling us the truth. They went into the backyard and their backyard was very sandy and very large. And you could see a perfect circle on the ground surface. Now, what is this? What is this? Hello. Now, I, for one, I believe in that. Okay. I just have to tell you, I believe that there are more than one species out there. I believe that there is all kinds of different things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. I believe that there are more than just this atypical little green man alien fellow. But here's the rub. These people also said what happened is that they're now hiding out in their home because after all of this was said and done, there were some guys that showed up and, oh, thank you. I have to interrupt. Listening from Japan, thank you, thank you. What an honor. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, thank you. Thanks for being here. So these dark cars with men in suits. Now, come on. I know this sounds like a movie, right? I wonder sometimes. Dark cars, dark suits, and sunglasses in the middle of the night, getting out, looking around. Now, that's pretty intimidating. I mean, it's one thing to be having your backyard as a UFO crash site, for crying out loud. But this isn't the first time. Nay, nay. And we're going to talk about this subject in another live because it is long. But you know, President Roosevelt actually entertained and supposedly an alien. And you know the old movie, The Earth Stood Still? And I think there was a remake with Keanu Reeves. That was written after that. And this person was here for 2 years, 3 years, and they're saying that there's a very good probability that that alien, who was very nicely dressed, very filled with etiquette, all this wonderful things, just so nice, is still here. Yikes. I'm going to tell you something. This is a subject that bothers me. And I almost didn't come in here and talk about it, but, you know, I just had to force myself because I have been having questions since I heard this and heard of it. And I think you are too. This, and of course, I'm sitting here in the dark. I'm not the only one here. My son is in his room, but did you ever see the movie Signs? That's what started it with me. That's what did it. The movie Signs. And don't even show me the birthday party scene. No. That scared me, pardon me. So now fast forwarding again. So since, and I've got kitties over here, so you're going to see them, and I've got one on my lap, and just a timeout, the neighbors upstairs got a new doggie, and he's been barking continuously for 2 days. He's a wonderful little fellow. Anyway, so as time has gone on now, since this story evolved, there's been more reports. And there's been more people who saw that same sighting, only there was one in Las Vegas that actually saw the craft with the little lights going around before there was this crash. And there's all kinds of things that are coming out. And now there's been interviews with the government again saying, well, you know, we have this expert whistleblower, and this person came out and he said, oh yeah, we have all these crafts, alien crafts that don't belong there. They were from crash sites. Oh yeah, we have an undisclosed amount. Can't even think of how many that we have. Now, can you imagine? But sometimes I wonder, you know, there's a lot going on in our world. And I'm gonna take a side trip here for a second, because I do believe, and I think many of you also believe as well. I mean, really, at this point, how can we help it? I believe that there are some. I mean, in God and all of his infinite glory and creativeness, here we are. I wonder, you know, you've heard of this little thing called AI. I'm just going to throw a what if out there. What if some of these things may be AI? There's a lot going on. What if we were just supposed to think something and be distracted? Now, I'm not even going to go there, but I just want to make you think, because I know you're safe and I know everything is going to be okay. But, you know, I know some people personally that were visited, a lady that was visited and had something removed from her body that could not be explained. These things happen, and they're happening more often than not. But I have a little something that I want to share with you. because this, for centuries, and since the world has come about, I want to read you something. And then we're going to talk about that as well. Give me a second. I got to turn my flashlight on. Here we go. Ready, my darlings? Here we go. You're going to love this. Ready? And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof the color of amber. Out of the midst of the fire, goes on to say, also out of the midst thereof came likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. So this is going to be described. They had the likeness of a man, and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf. So it almost looked like, you know a Barbie doll foot? You know what that looks like? That's what that means. And their feet were, okay, I said that already. And they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of man under their wings, and their 4 sides, and the 4 hands, and their faces, and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. Now, I'm going to explain what this means. And for those of you who didn't know what I just read, that is from the Bible, King James Version, the book of Ezekiel. That appeared to Ezekiel. Now, it goes on for much more describing things, and I'm not going to take the time to read all of that to you. But here's what this means. First of all, in the Hebrew, in the manuscripts, and you know I'm into this, and the Hebrew manuscripts, when it talks about the color of amber, that amber was translated from the original manuscripts as highly polished bronze. Not only that, when it says, and their bodies were straight, so that means, if you're flying in an airplane or a craft or anything else, your body is going to follow which way you flow with the aircraft. And it's going to go, so if you go straight, you're going to go straight. If you go to the side, your body is going to look like it goes to the side. That's what that means. Ezekiel goes on to really, really get into a lot of what this means. But there's a place in the manuscripts, and even in a point where it basically says in a margin that at that particular time, there were no human words or no human language that could describe what Ezekiel saw. So what you just listened to was the best description that could possibly happen. It's pretty wild, isn't it? It's in the Bible. You can look at that. It's in the first chapter of Ezekiel, and you can read it. It starts at, let me tell you where it starts. It starts at chapter 4 and goes on for quite a bit, and you can read that. So I'm going to tell you, my dear friends, do I believe in this? Yes. But I've got a question. What would you do? And this is just hypothetical because, I used to play this game with my son when we would go to school in the morning. And we would play this game because, of course, that's when the Walking Dead zombies were all over. And we would pick up one of his buddies on the way to school, and we would play this game. And it was what if there was a zombie apocalypse? What would we do? What would we grab first? Well, what if there was a UFO invasion? I'm not saying that I'm not saying that this is just to scare you. I want you to think about things, because I think we're living in a time now that we're going to be seeing more of this, more of transcending, more of this is what's going on. This is going to be trending for quite some time. It has been for quite some time, and it's going to continue. Do I think there's going to be something like that? See, I don't know, because while I believe in this, I'm skeptical of what other people will do to maybe sort of gain control. And so I'm here just to say, look, come to your own conclusions, do your research, watch what you want to watch, believe what you want to believe, and just be mindful. Be a watchman. Just be mindful of where you're going, what you're doing, what you listen to, and what you hear. Because we can't stop it anyway. Now, would I rather face ghosts? Would I rather go on a paranormal hunt? Hello, that would be me. Yes, I would rather do that. Would I rather be in that position? Absolutely. But you know, this intrigues me. And it's because, and for years, I have read that in the book of Ezekiel. I have studied that. And you know, you have to go back to the original languages, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a little hint here. Over the years, those translations have been manipulated so that maybe your thought patterns are manipulated once you read these sort of things. Yeah, there are those people out there that do this sort of thing. Don't ever think there's not. Search. And in everything, we are told to research, to study, to show yourself approved. That's all I'm saying. When I first saw that and recognized that, and I heard highly polished bronze, now come on. This was back in the times of Ezekiel. Highly polished bronze. These men that looked like these resembling of men that looked like that, you know. And I'm going to say the description had the four faces. Well, yes, you can look this way, you can look this way, you can look this way. I mean, you have to stop and think that back then it was very hard for human, because a lot of our words wasn't even invented yet, right? So it was very hard for whatever words to be translated. Human language could not describe. So he did the best he could. So this is nothing new under the sun, what we're hearing and what we're seeing. So I wonder about these people in Vegas, because they are getting a lot of attention from this. And I mean a lot. And they're intimidated. They're scared. I don't blame them. Would you blame them? So, do I know anybody who has seen something? Yes, I do. My son actually saw something, and it was here, of all places. Behind us is a farm and a big field. And then, so it's right, you walk out my back door, and then there's this little, about a 20-foot easement that's just really beautiful and nice for this area that I'm in. And then there's a field, and we hear cows back there all the time, and deer and whatever. It's very nice. Makes you feel like you're in the country when you're really close to the city. But then beyond that is a golf course, and it is, as they say here in the South, flat as a flitter. It is flat. Well, I was working the psychic line, and it was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. My son goes outside just to go outside, get some air, because he, you know, we're just kind of like these night people. we're around all the time, but it's like we really just like the evening, and then, you know, it's just one of those things. So he goes outside, he came in and his eyes were like this. And I had been on the phone on a call, so it's not like he could say, hey, Ma, come on out here. He couldn't. He said that when he walked out there, it was just pitch black. Not even the moon was out. It had been a cloudy day, cloudy night, and the air was starting to clear up a little bit. It had just rained, and he said, all of a sudden, this huge white light, like it was like a spotlight, but it was shining all over, not only the field, but the golf course. It was huge and took up this huge area, just shining down. I said, my gosh, what did you do? And he said, I didn't do anything. I just stood there and watched it. I would have been like, hello, go inside. That would have been me. I would have been thinking the next thing is the birthday party scene in Signs. Okay. So he believes. Now, you know, there's this little theory that if you are a believer, they show themselves to you. I wonder if that happens. I wonder that. But you know, we have a lot of unanswered questions. I have a lot of questions to begin with. That's just my nature. That's the studying research part of me, that paranormal metaphysical part of me that just says, oh no, we got to get to the bottom of this. So let me know. Do you believe? Are you a believer? I mean, what really do you think is going on? What really? I don't know, my friends. I don't know. But I think about this family in Las Vegas only because they feel so intimidated over this. You know, that especially when they said they saw the suits, and this was at night, and the dark cars pull up, and the sunglasses, that's an intimidating factor. That, I mean, what do you do? There's really not anything you can do. I mean, we don't even know who those people are. So the best thing to do is do nothing. That's the best thing you have to do, because that's it. Now, will they get a book deal or a movie deal or something? Oh, well, probably. And I don't think this is the last that we're going to hear about it. But I did hear today that there is another one of these expert types that came out of the woodwork that basically said, oh yeah, this has been happening for so long, and even our ships in the sea are having problems with this, and it's not the first time. So it's kind of like everybody's jumping in on the bandwagon here. So you know what sometimes I just have to do? Are you ready? You see this? This is my remote. I just have to go click, and I invite you to do the same thing, because it's one of those things as human nature. You know what we do? Sometimes we gravitate. We want to see, right? How many times I just want to see. You drive down the road, you see an accident, and you go slow because you can't help but gawking. And you just want to see. Well, as you start seeing one thing, then another comes. And then another comes. And before you know it, 1 hour has turned into 5. And this stuff can affect you, your thought process. Because the first thing that happens is, what emotion happens? Fear. And there's no reason to fear. There's none. I believe that we have been walked among each. I just believe that they're already here. I don't think that we have to go through this big hoopla. Now, back in the 80s, many of you may find this. I think it's on Tubi. They just have the first season, and then they did a remake. There was a series called V, as in, I don't know what it was. That was a good show. I remember racing to see that, and that was the time before we had the TiVo and the DVRs and, before they were streaming and you didn't have to worry about it. You could catch it on the flip flop and all this other. It was pretty much, if you didn't see it then, you ain't going to see it. You weren't going to be able to, there was not going to be a rerun, and you had to either read about it or get with your friends the next day. So I was in front of that television, and boy, was it good. There was an actor called, I think his name is Mark. I don't know what his name is. I was going to say Mark Harmon, but that's not it. There was an actor, Mark. Let me see. What is Amy saying? I remember that series. Yes, Amy. Wasn't that good, though? That was an excellent series. And I'll tell you what, if you want to see a really good one, go on Tubi. There's a remake of that. And I was so disappointed at the end because they did not get picked up for another. It was an affiliate station that had it. And they didn't get picked up for another season. There was 2 seasons on there. And I'm like, oh, shoot. That was a good one. And if you're seeing something behind me, that's Kitty. So let's not worry. Everything is good. So as we go further, and I'm going to say, as a human race, I do believe that we are evolving. We are now evolving. More of us are learning how to be in touch with our more spiritual side. We're meditating more. We're opening up that portal more. Good grief, if you catch Gaia, and I'm not, Gaia's okay in some things. But if you catch Gaia, my goodness, everything is open up, whatever. I think you need to watch that a little bit. You need to be careful of opening up that a little bit, because you don't want to invite anything that you shouldn't be inviting in, whatever. But I want you to know this. Your emotions and your thought process they work in hand. It is your thoughts that create your emotions, and your emotions that create your thoughts. So it's a never-ending loop. The more you watch, the more you get scared. The more you're scared, the more you start flipping out. And the more you start flipping out, the more. So you got to just be careful. Remember, this right here is your secret weapon. That's it. Click, 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 click. Click off of some of that stuff. Just click. Not going to hurt a bit. That's right. It's not going to hurt a bit. Okay. So now I want to thank you for that. We're going to take a break here, and then we're going to read some cards. Stay with me. One more. Hi, I'm back. Thanks so much for giving me that break. Look at this. I love that comment right there. Absolutely. That's why I don't watch the news. Bravo. Bravo. Sometimes, remember the old saying, garbage in, garbage out? Garbage in, garbage out. We watch our bodies, we watch what we eat, we watch what we say, we watch what we do this, we do that. Well, why don't we watch what we pay attention to what we really should be thinking about. And that is focusing upon ourselves, our family, all these things. That's what we have to do. Dawn has very interesting. I don't watch much TV. You know something? I don't watch much TV either. I don't think it's interesting any longer. Sure, they have good shows and everything else. But my goodness, think about this. All these streaming services. And you know what shows I watch are paranormal and blah, blah, blah. If I want to watch anything on the news, I have my particular people that I like, that I feel are truthful, that don't tell one side or the other, that are unbiased, that just let me make up my own mind. That's the way it should be anyway. And there we go. Now, I didn't mean to get on that, but I'm just saying, be careful of what you watch. Be careful of what you're fed. And especially now, we've got, and I'll tell you something, now that we're talking about this AI stuff, I get every day, I get one of these companies pushing the AI, the AI, the AI. I'm just not into that. And you hear of the dangers of AI, how they can manipulate your own voice and all this. No, wrong. I'm not going to sign up for that service. I'm just not. So Dawn says, I watch old reruns. And you know something, Dawn? If I have a particular show that I like, I watch them too. So there's nothing wrong with that. And if I want to watch a UFO show, I'll watch it. If I want to watch a ghost show, I'll watch it. Right? Okay. So, and you know me, I like the paranormal. And I like my other shows. There's some things on Netflix. There's some things on Stars. I'm a big Outlander fan. But, now old cartoons, oh my goodness. But one of the things about Halloween, and I'm going to say this, and then we can start reading some cards. The one thing about Halloween are my favorite old movies. And I mean those old Hammer movies, the old Universal movies, the werewolf, Frankenstein, Dracula, all of those. Oh yeah, Jamie Outland. Oh yeah, hello. And all of those good movies. And you know something? I have the Scare Network. And they had some of these old movies. Vincent Price, House on Haunted Hill. I was laughing my way through that. Hello. Because, back then it was scary as could be. I remember my mother saying, oh my goodness, they could hardly get through the theater with that thing. And, there's Vincent Price in this fake skeleton and all. It's just a hoot. But, my goodness. Even watching it, I was sitting there going, oh God, oh my God. That's so, it just is so good. That's what I'm not big into the slasher stuff. And one day I'll tell you why. Had an experience with that. And Dawn says, yes, Scooby-Doo. Well, I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo. And I have two of my fur babies are Shaggy and Scooby. They are my little Scooby Girl and Shaggy Noodle. Yeah, that two of them, yes. So let's read some cards. Anybody has a question, please put it in the comments. And I so do appreciate you being here. This is always so much fun for me. And I hope it is for you too. Yes, Pamela. Hi, Pamela. You may have a card. Let's see. Pamela, that beautiful smile. Let's see what Pamela would like to know. Let's see. Here we go, Pamela. We're going to cut the cards. Here we are. Look at that. I actually like this card. Now that looks pretty negative, but it's not. Don't think that it is. I want you to know that this particular card is the Eight of Cups. Now, what does this mean? You can see that the Eight of Cups, there are 8 cups lined up here, but there's one missing. And there's a person looking like, okay, I'm just going to leave it. I don't have this cup. Well, I'm going to tell you what this means. You're not walking away from something. You've done all you can do to accomplish everything that you need to accomplish. And from that moment, you are walking towards the Nine of Cups. What is the Nine of Cups? It's the heart's desire. It's the yes card. It's the wish fulfilled. It's the dream come true. It's what you're manifesting. So actually, this is basically saying, okay, you've done all you can do. The timing is yours. You can go now. And you're ready. It's time to go. And that's what that means, Miss Pamela. So I hope that resonates with you. So yes. Okay, so Vanita Peters Maddox, very pretty name. I hope I said that correctly. I don't mean to. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry. I would love a card as well, of course. You may have a card. Let's see. I'm shuffling. Oh, you had a card fall. I love that because that means that there's meaning. I'll be right back. Let me pick this up for you. Let me pick it up. Where did it go? Here it is. Oh my goodness. It just flew out. And oh, I love this for you. Here's the card. Ready? This is it. The Temperance card. This is also meaning a Sagittarius. This Sagittarius card, Temperance card, means it's a fire element. You see how this angel wings are fiery red. And you also see that there's a breastplate on this angel. Let me see if you can see that there. The breastplate means that there is a healthy balance between material and spiritual. It also means this particular card is that you're taking the time to put things in balance. And that's what you've needed, and that is what you need. And that is going to continue. In fact, let's go a little further and say the balance is of the conscious and the subconscious mind. So that means that you're thinking things through and you're not letting your emotions get to you and you're not letting your imagination go wild. This is a good card and it may even be a confirmation. But the last thing I'm going to mention about this, my dear friend, is that here in the back, you see, most people think that is a sun, but that is not. That is a crown. And that is like the goal, the crown and glory. You've got a little ways to go yet. You've got just a little way, but you're getting there. You're going to be accomplishing your goal. I'm pretty sure you're going to make it too. I'm very sure. So thank you for asking. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that's good. I like it when a card, that particular card just went zingola right out. So that means it was definitely meant for you. Did you like that zingola? Well, it means it was meant for you. So there we go. There we go. Shuffling. And you're quite welcome, Pamela. And there you are. So here we go. We're going to read just for another 15 minutes. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to go working again. So there we are. There we are. Okay. Vanita. Okay, here we are. This is the first time that I have been able to catch you live. I am so excited. I love your daily readings. Thank you so much. Oh, well, thank you. I'm so happy that you're here. And thanks for coming in. You know, I've said this before, and I have to tell you again. If it weren't for everyone, I wouldn't even be here. Seriously. I've just been received with such kindness and just such good wishes and good everything. Miss Dawn, hugs and love. That just makes my century. It does. It just makes my day because I love doing this. I never, ever, ever would have thought that I would be doing this. Never. ever. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, oh, right. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said, what? What? Are you crazy? No. So now I've been on TV before. I've been on radio before. I've done all that before. I've been to psychic. I've been all over and, blah, blah, blah. But this is brand new to me. Making all the videos, making all the reels, making, doing the lives, doing all those things. And it's like, oh my goodness. It just is something else. You would never guess. I would never guess. Never. So I just love this. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm flabbergasted. I got to tell you. Flabbergasted. But I love it. It's the theatrical part in me. Hello. So, okay. So, let me see here. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to shuffle really well. Okay. Some cards flipped out. Let's see if they're for somebody in the chat. I'm going to show you what they are. Wow, there's a whole bunch of them. I think it hit my thumb. So, yeah, they all turned over. So, okay. So, I'm going to keep shuffling here. Just give me a second. And then, okay, there we go. I have learned so much about the cards from you. I have a set and I try, but I'm not that good. Well, honey, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to laugh at this. Because my grandmother was a very good psychic. Now, she died, she was in her 90s in 96 and 2013. So she'd been around for a long time. And of course, she didn't have internet or cell phones or anything back then. My grandfather was what they called a water witch. Now, he was not a witch. Let's not get excited. But they call this is when you take a pendulum, or you can take 2 coat hangers, and he would use the branch of a willow tree, and it would point toward where water was in the ground. The majority of the wells dug in the area that I'm from on the farms were founded by my grandfather. And I mean, they call it that. I don't like the word that, whatever. It's a different connotation, but they call it a water witch. It's actually a dowser. He taught me how to do it. And believe me, you can feel the tugging of whatever it is that you're using, either a pendulum or 2 coat hangers or a willow. It has to be a willow branch because the willows are affected by water. Doesn't really work with anything else. And so it really is, it points there. But my grandmother started reading cards just by a whim. Now, she was psychic. She didn't need, and I can tell you one of these days, I'm going to tell you some of the funny things that my grandmother told me, and they came true. Absolutely. Absolutely. You would laugh at that. And things when I was 14 and 16 and was like, I don't care about, whatever. But they came true. And how I took her with me through many states in the United States, and we visited different psychics and so forth. But I'll tell you what, my grandmother was probably one of the best of the best. Not probably. I think she was one of the best of the best. And at one point, she hung out her shingle, just put a little card in her window that, just said psychic readings. And she was busy constantly. And she followed the laws of attraction constantly. So my grandmother always lived very well. My grandparents, they always did very well. And it was because of how they practiced it. And they were Christians and they were good people and they didn't do anything they weren't supposed to do. So there were many times that women would come in. I remember sitting in my grandmother's living room and listening. I couldn't help it. You want to listen to all that stuff. And listening to the women that would be coming to my grandmother, and how they would be crying because their husband would be doing this, or they thought that this, was happening or whatever. And my grandmother would just spot on, boom, boom, tell it, boom, done. Funny. But I got to tell you, hey, Becky, no, you're not late. But the funny thing, well, it's not funny, but I just always thought it was really cool. Hold on, I've got a cat crossing here. I don't want to have him dump my camera. Okay, so people didn't have, they were on a farm. My grandfather raised prize workhorses like Andalusian and that sort of thing. And they were big, not the Clydesdale types, but a little smaller. And my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, and they had a farm, they raised, that a garden, all this other. But so they lived down in the country, and people would travel. And we lived in Cleveland, in an area between Columbus and Cleveland, and they would travel from all over the state to come and see my grandmother. Well, many times they didn't have any money. They would bring my grandma cans of food. They knew that my grandmother liked to sew. She would make her own curtains and that sort of thing. So they would bring her fabric. It was really pretty cool. And she was so gracious that she just, I think a lot of that, she really liked it better than money. Nobody brought her jewelry. Pardon you. Nobody brought her jewelry or any of those things. But they brought her very useful things. In fact, this is a funny thing. One time they got a chicken. Somebody brought my grandma a chicken to read cards. Well, hey, you know what? That chicken served a purpose. And that was a lot. Many didn't have. And then as I was coming up in my card reading career and in my career reading for others, I practiced the same thing because I lived also on a farm, and many people would come to me. And that's, last week we talked about the haunted necklace, and I was on the radio show and everything else. Well, people, and seriously, back then I felt so much safer than I do right now. Right now I don't take anyone in my home. I don't meet anyone in person unless I'm in a public area and it's controlled, this sort of thing. I make sure that I'm not followed. I had a problem with that at one point. But I would read for somebody and they'd say, oh, I'm sorry, I just can't pay you. And now I'm on the farm, on my own little farm. I had a little working farm. My son was young. He was just a little toddler. And I said, well, that's okay. Just take care of me later. And, I would get up the next morning and there would be a basket of fresh bread on my step, or there would be cans of corn and peas, and there would be homemade tomato sauce or jellies or any of those things. Hey, I loved it. That was just fantastic. So back to my grandmother, she was a premier psychic. She taught me, she got me started. She taught me. I guess she saw something, and that's how I started. I was young. I was about, I don't know. I think I really had an interest between 13 or so, and then I started for 16. But all of this coming around, because Zelda can't tell a story without going all different directions. When you said that you try, but you're not that good, because my grandmother was a really good one, I thought I was all that and a bag of chips. Seriously, I really had an ego, and I would read for family and friends, and then I started reading for people that I didn't know, and then people would come to my grandmother's house and they'd say, oh, I just talked to Zelda, she, blah, blah, blah. And then I would talk to them, and then many times, thank you, Becky, many times these people would come back and they'd say, she's wrong. Or they would really give me a hard time during the reading. because I was so filled with myself. I had to learn the hard way. And one thing my grandmother, so it took time. My point is, my dear, it takes time. And I'm still learning. And by all these videos, there are times that I see card combinations that I haven't seen in years, if maybe at all. And I've done a lot. Now, at one point, someone and I really tried to figure out how many readings that I do. And I count those little reels that I do. And I, plus how many times I've talked to, I'm going to say probably in my lifetime, I think we figured it out. About, it was over 200,000 readings, I think. Oh, it's no wonder I wear out my card decks, right? Golly Neds, that's a lot of reading. That is a lot of reading. But you learn as you go. I still learn. And you know what? I teach tarot and I teach cartomancy. And I can tell you this, my darlings. As I'm teaching, I'm learning. Because it's just like something, you know, something, just something is coming about. And that's, I mean, so it's a learning process, and you just stick with it. You'll learn. I think the biggest thing, and I can tell you, okay, if you get a set of cards, get the universal, oops, yeah, and make sure they're not upside down. Get the universal Rider-Waite cards. And I'm going to tell you why. You can literally see by the pictures, and it will help guide you, right? It helps, oops, he's upside down. It helps to guide you. It helps to make sure that you're on the right track. Sometimes these tarot decks, I've got a couple of decks. In fact, I have a 4D deck, a 3D deck. And sometimes, you know, the unfortunate part is that some of the artists, the illustrators, have made the cards so bloody scary. You don't want to scare people. And, you know, the tarot has a very bad connotation because of the death card, because of the devil card. And if people just really took the time to learn, I mean, right? So just keep at it. Now, the one thing that I do know, and I know people that do this, and I wish I could, but I was always taught by my grandmother that we don't read for ourselves. We don't action material gain. We don't want to be someone that feels like, okay, I'm going to read the cards. Maybe I've got a leg up on the lottery, or maybe I can do this, or maybe I can see what this person is doing, whatever like that. Because, you know, that does happen. I mean, that happens. I can't read for myself. And I'm very hard. There's probably 2 or 3, and I think one of them is watching now. Hi. She's a Capricorn. And there's very few that can ever read for me. And I don't know why I'm very hard to read for. But I can't read. I think the last time I tried to read for myself, I think I ended up in Alaska pregnant and was, I don't know, was some crazy, wild, crazy thing. And so I just don't do it. I don't even try, because I don't believe that when you are a card reader that you can really keep unbiased enough that when a particular card comes out and you know the meaning and you don't want to see that card, you know, it's one of those, oh, well, I'm just going to keep pulling until I get the card that, you know, we all do it. We all do it. That's right. Okay, my darling, I've got another question. Hi there, Kathy. Hi, my darling. Do you see the house situation getting resolved in June of 2023? Well, let's just see. We're going to see. I hope you're doing okay, my darling. Okay, so let's see. What's for dinner? Right? I haven't had dinner yet. Better get at it. All right, here we are. And now I'm going to tell you something. You know the reason that I do that? You know the reason I do that in between when I do that with cards. I'll tell you why, if you're card reading, is because normally I would get up and wash my hands, wash that energy down the sink. I would wipe, I would have a cloth, or I would wipe my hands, or I would, now obviously I can't do that here. Now there's nothing bad and nobody has any energy, but what you don't want is you don't want your cards to be built up. So while I'm shuffling, that's why you hear me telling a little story. So it clears that energy. And while I'm shuffling, because Kathy, I can tell you I'm feeling some good energy for you. But while I'm shuffling, I see many people do the one where they, you know, they do this in half, and then they're doing it like they're dealing for a card game. I don't do that, because when you shuffle like that and you do this sort of thing with the cards, it disperses the energy out of the cards. You want your cards to hold on to the energy that the reader has. I don't even, when somebody's in front of me, I don't even let them touch my cards. My son doesn't touch my cards if I'm reading for him and he's here. So that's just my little thing. Now, it's really what you're comfortable with, but that's the way that I was taught, and that's just my gig. Okay, so here we go. Now we're ready. Now I've got to clear. I got the green go for you, Kath. All right, here we are. Cutting the cards on your behalf. Here we are. Are you ready? Okay, so this is the devil card. Now, this doesn't mean this is the devil. What this means is, first of all, this can be Capricornian energy. The Capricorn energy is, you don't like, that energy is around you. Now, I don't think you're a Capricorn, but what this means, the Capricornian energy, is that you don't like secrets. And there's been so much that's been held from you. This card is a big indicator. You see how those two people are chained? This is a big indicator that this is definitely something that you have to get over. It's almost like an addiction. It is almost something that is, it's tearing you apart. Now, what I want to do is I am going to get another card for you. I'm going to pull another card, because I think that's telling the tale of everything that has come up to this point. Cutting the deck, and on your behalf, I am, here we are. Oh, I've got my deck upside down. I'm sorry, that's my fault. Here we are. This Page of Wands. Now, I'm going to say this. The devil described the situation, and the Page of Wands describes what is about to happen. This Page of Wands is an announcement. He is announcing that there is, well, this is a fire element. There's going to be an opportunity for you in June. You ask in June. So this is telling you there's going to be an opportunity, and there's going to be some growth, and there's going to be some other things coming about. So that's what that looks like, Kath. I'm going to tell you, I feel that this is coming to an end. There's also another person here that I think you're going to have someone else step in. There's another person who has stepped in. Things are actually looking up, and they are getting resolved, and they will be resolved. I can tell you, between the two of these, it looks as though it has come to a dead end for another party, not you. I'm going to say that I do believe that it will be resolved very soon. Very soon. And I'm praying that it is for you, my dear. I'm praying. Okay. So next question. We have Pamela June Hughes. Is my fiance getting out of jail soon? Well, let's see. Let's see. When is he getting out? All right, let me see. Cutting the cards on your behalf. And here we are. You ready? Drum roll. Oh my gosh. You see what card this is? this is the same card as the last card that I pulled for Miss Kathy. Now, you saw me shuffling, and those things happen, okay? That happens. What this is telling me, this is a fire element. What this is telling me is that the timing should be within the next 45 to 60 days, within. This is, I'm going to say, you see how he's looking up? There's something to look forward to looking up. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 45 to within. So within from now until the next 45 to 60 days, Pamela, I think that's going to happen. Okay. I wish you the best. Okay. So Dawn has a yes and no question, and then we're going to call it a night. All right. Miss Dawn, I have a yes or no question. Okay. The guy I live with tells me, oh, and Riley is rubbing and I didn't even see him. It's too dark. Oh, hold on, everyone. I'm not having an earthquake. It was a cat quake. Okay. The guy I live with tells me that his house is mine, pardon me, when he is gone. Does that mean he's telling you that he will leave you that house if something happens to him? I think that's what it means. All right, let's see. Let's see. All right, here we go. Cutting the cards on your behalf. All right, and I had them upside down. Here we are. Let me see. Okay, here we are. Leo energy. I'm not so sure if this is yes or no. I think that's the way I would take it. I'm just going to tell you, with this Leo energy, he is very strong. Very strong. And it's an infinite amount. I with this particular card, you see how she's wrestling that cat? I'm not so sure, even if he did, that it would be a clean cut and dried something or other that you could just walk in and say, hello, I'm home. Okay? So I'm not telling you not to trust him, but I guess I'm telling you, don't put a lot of faith in that, because it would take some real paperwork to get that done. Okay? So I think he's really trying to tell you that to make you feel better about some things. And if that's the case, then, you know, that's a nice gesture. I would just say that's a nice gesture, and let the chips fall where they may. I think that's the best thing to do. Okay, so there we go. All right, and Becky. And please forgive me, because I have got cat overload all around me. Becky, I have strong feelings for Tom. Does he feel the same? Oh, well, let's see. Let's see. Excuse me here, as Shaggy tries to go around. Let's see. You can see my table is shaking. That's because everybody is like jumping around. I think they need some cereal. Okay, here we go. Becky, and that's Riley that just walked past. Becky, how does Tom feel? We're asking for Becky on her behalf. All right, here we go. Ready? Well, I think he's a traditional fellow. He likes the traditional roles. This can be an Aries, but I think that with this being said, he's kind. He wants to always do the right, strives to do the right thing. And I believe that he is feeling the same that you do. Only the caution here that I have for you is try not to get ahead of him a little bit. I think sometimes we women have a tendency to sit, you know, and we moon over our fellows sometimes. And, you know, it's one of those things that sometimes it's hard to control. But I think you're doing okay. And I don't think it's getting out of hand. I'm just saying he'll let you know. I like this card for you because I think this reminds me, this Emperor fellow, reminds me of King Solomon. That King Solomon energy, that kind and ruling with the way he's supposed to rule and being just that wonderful way of him. I like this. And I think if we were to strive to have any energy whatsoever, we should strive to have the Emperor energy. Why? Because we rule with common sense and good things. And yet, if we have to go into battle, all we have to do is raise our robe and show them that we still have our ability to go into battle. So yes, I do believe he is, Becky, a gentleman, and I do see that. I think he does feel the same about you. I do. I think he does. And so yes, there you go. So, my darlings, it has come to that time. And I want to say thank you so much for each and every one of you being here. Thank you for allowing me to talk about UFOs. It's certainly not a subject that I talk about. And we're going to tell some more stories. And next week, I will be announcing more that I'm going to be coming up with. And you're going to see, we're just going to, this is Mystery Manor, where, Secrets Mystery Manor, no secret is a mystery. We're going to bring it out. No mystery is a secret. We're going to bring it out. We're going to talk about it. And you know what? We might not be right, but we're still going to talk about it. And that's the best thing that we can do. Thank you so much. You can always find me on social media. You can find me right here at psychicsecrets.com. I'm an extension 11. If you ever want to have a reading with me, we have first-time caller, wonderful, wonderful rates when you go to Psychic Secrets. And it's first-time caller is $1 per minute, up to 30 minutes. Wow. We can get a lot accomplished in a 30-minute time. And that, we have a good time. And when you're doing a one-on-one phone call with me, we can really do a deep dive in seeing what is going on. That's the fun part about it. So I want to thank you so much for being here. I love having you. Thank you for, I guess I'll see you next Saturday. We'll be bringing another really fun topic for you. And I want to say good night. So you be well. Have a wonderful and beautiful week. Go have some dinner. Go have a snack and watch something great. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. You be well, my darlings. Much love to you. Have a great night and a great week. And I'll see you again next Saturday. Bye. Until next time, thanks so much for listening. I just love this. Don't you?